Hi, my name is Henry Serrato. I'm the CineSol Film Festival director, and joining us via Zoom is Pepe Serna. Pepe, thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
So I know you have been in many films, but I want to just go way back. Back when you grew up in Corpus Christi, Texas. What was that like? South Texas. I mean, people don't think South Texas is. They think San Antonio is South Texas, but there's more than that.
Oh yeah, a lot more than that, man. I mean, and so many out here, they have no idea what the Valle is.
Right.
Oh my, man, and neither did I until I started going and seeing. I did a performance of my Ruco Chuco Cholo Pachuco at Pan Am on May 2005. At Gear Up brought me in.
Yeah, you also here at Cine El Rey.
Yeah, Cine El Rey was great. I mean, that was Pedro Garcia that's still around. He brought me in and out of his own pocket, and that was incredible. What he's a great guy to the theater that he keeps doing, and he needs support too, as much the support of the public to go and see. We had a great crowd that night. We
Yeah,
had a yeah.
Pedro is a good friend of the festival, and we always support his films. He's with the Far Community Theater, and yeah, we always try to get him involved. We sometimes have him do workshops for us. So Pedro's a good friend of ours.
And see that's the one of the things that people don't realize is that no, es de aquí. He can't be that important. We have to bring somebody in from Hollywood. No, forget it, man. You guys are the ones that are rocking. It's you're just as important to the future as anybody, if not more so. Yeah, it's very very important what you guys are doing, and you scrape by, sell cans and do a go. Just kidding, but practically, you do anything you can to keep it going, and they'll uh they'll support somebody else before they support us. That's the problem.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Right, and as we're taping it now, as we're taping via Zoom right now, Selena is trending number one on Netflix, and so there's a little bit of hate for it, but I mean, I think we should support it because it was primarily a Latino cast and crew, and it's bringing Selena to the limelight, and Johnny Canales and Laura Canales. I mean, all of those people, right?
Yeah,
What do you think?
they're friends of mine, all of them. I knew Abraham when I was a kid growing up. He was just a little bit older than me, but yeah, in the late 50s, early 60s. Yeah, it's and what's the hate about? What the stuff? What I'm hearing is I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but that they like it even better than the movie. And I played Jennifer Lopez's dad in two series before she got Selena, in Hotel Malibu and Second Chances,
Oh, okay.
93 and 94. And I actually told Greg Nava about her because I auditioned for his movie. I didn't get it in the movie that he was doing at the time, but yeah, I played her dad in two series right before that happened.
So growing up in Corpus, were you already interested in acting, or how did
Since
the
I was
acting bug bite you?
since I was 3 years old,
Yeah.
my godfather had a boxing ring in the backyard, and I would evidently one night I was watching them shadow boxing and sparring and stuff, and when they all went to clean up and get dressed, I jumped up on the boxing ring and started clowning around, and I think I was like acting like I was punching, and then I went around and punched myself, accidentally on purpose, and knocked myself out, and everybody laughed. So then I got up and did it again, but they didn't laugh the second time. A joke is funny the first time, but don't keep on doing it and doing it. And but yeah, so everything I did was performance. I was always performing. My mother would take me to all the las películas the classic movies de oro, uh, Jorge Negrete, Cantinflas, Pedro Infante, Dolores del Rio, all those great films. And since I was, we went every week and saw a new one. And so I loved it. I always did. And I performed all through everything I ever did, every sport I ever played, I was performing. I was on stage. I was a Golden Glove champ later, 15 years after I was on that boxing ring, and I never put it together. And then it was what was it? Eight, about 17, 18 years after I become a Golden Glove champ, I fought Bobby Chacon on a Beretta, and I hadn't trained or anything, but I was always physical and could do it. So because of that training, I was able to fight him for 2 days and thought I had done real good till I went and saw to see his fight and said, "You fool." He was so incredible. But yeah, it's that. What is it? It's what we need is the training. Is the training, that theatrical training. We really need to buckle down. And I didn't have a lot of that training. I was just doing it all the time. And I did do theater, and I was in college and studied and went to New York. I did my first movie in 1964, Jacket of Blood and Gold. I was the lead. I was a bullfighter. And later the film got destroyed in a hurricane. But before that happened, the director got me a job as a barker at the Moroccan Pavilion in New York when I was 20. And then when I was 21, then I went off to the Marines for 6 months, reserves. I turned 22 there, and then Mexico City. I went off to Mexico City, and then I was there for about 2 years and got into the production of hair. And then I came out to California to get into the production out here. I didn't do it. I didn't get in because I couldn't really sing, but I thought I could. But anyway, it's always been, I just had single-minded. And like I said, I met my wife the second day I got to Hollywood. So that was a big miracle because she took me off the street. I was like homeless for about 4 or 5 months, but I didn't feel homeless because I had two theaters that I was rehearsing at, my improv group and that. So I would clean up at the theater, and I hung out for a couple of months with a quadriplegic guy on Hollywood and Vine, and that was interesting. But I was never hungry. In Mexico, the same thing. I was going to school, but I was trying to get into Churubusco, work as an extra and get my break.
So when you were doing both theaters, were you cleaning the theater? Were you sweeping? I mean, or
No, 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 no. I would just go there
Oh,
during the day.
ah,
No, and just in the bathroom, just clean up. But no, I didn't. They didn't have a shower or anything.
gotcha.
I don't know. I don't remember what I did. But I would just get, and I never had I was never hungry. I mean, I've always had not the kind of guy that was always hungry. So I would just an orange here or a not ripe avocado off a tree or something, and just, but I can't even remember that I wasn't in any kind of oh God, I'm homeless and I'm no man, I was in Hollywood.
Right.
This is where I wanted to be. Excuse me. My whole life I knew I was coming to Hollywood. Even though I went to New York first, Mexico City, LA was where I was coming. And once I got here, man, I had made it.
And how old were you when you started working with Roger Corman?
I was 26, 25, 20, 25. I got here when I was 24 and 25. And it was, I didn't actually, I worked for his company. Stephanie Rothman was the director, the student nurses. And a friend of mine had written the movie, a friend of mine from the improv group. So he wrote the movie and got me an audition, and that's how I got in the union. And then my first 7 months, I did 5 feature films back to back, and then Hal Wallace kind of discovered me, and I did the Red Sky at Morning and Shootout, the Western, and man, big movies, and Dalton Trumbo, Johnny Got His Gun. Man, it was amazing. I had a good run there and then the next year I only did like $2,000. The first year I made 9,600, and I was with my wife, and so we got married on Christmas Eve. It's going to be our 50th anniversary
Oh, congratulations.
because we found out we could save $600 in taxes. by getting married before the end of the year. So we said, hey, we're living together, so let's get married. And so it's worked out great. She created me as an artist in my paintings that you see, and our house is you see the colors. Every room is a different color. It's yeah, I've had a great life. Es gringa, but más mexicana que los mexicanos. Everything, all our decor. It's like I'll show you a couple of other paint. Let me see. There's one over there, and then, anyway, and my my guy over here. But there's paintings and colors everywhere you look here. It's been phenomenal that life. And then I have a jungle in my backyard. It's just great.
What's the name of the documentary about your paintings?
Well, it's really about everything. It's called Life is Art.
Mhm.
Life is Art. It's about my career and being a painter and being a motivational speaker, and the workshops that I've done for 50 years, the improv workshops that I run. Usually in Texas, when there was money from Gear Up and all that, they would hire me to come in, because before, they pay the gringo, but they want the Mexicano to do it for free. But I said, nobody does the workshops that I do. Nobody does them. And I can do, I've been doing it my whole life. So I can make people do stuff that they had no idea they can do. It's just like give me a line from one of your plays or one of the things that you do. Just say one of the lines.
Get me,
You
get me to the chopper.
Get me to the chopper now. Now say it like like you're eating a lemon. You know how your mouth gets when you're eating a lemon. Now say that same line as if though you're
Get me to the chopper.
okay. Now go. Now the color black, I use it kind of in a solemn. So use the color black and say that line with the feeling of that color black.
Get, feel like I want to talk like Arnold. Get me to the chopper.
No. Just do just the color black. Just
Get me to the chopper.
okay. Now it's like a tightrope. Like you're walking a tightrope, and you're getting to the other side. So say the line on a tightrope.
I'm gonna say it quick because I want to cross that tightrope. Get me to the chopper.
Yeah. So see, the thing is with the improv is that there's no right or wrong. Nobody's the best. Nobody's the worst. None of the tallest, the shortest. None of that goes. It's just letting it go. The freedom that we do it, like when we with our friends and bien relaje, it just having fun. So when I get a group of people, I get everybody involved at the same time. You know how you are in acting class, and that you have to watch people do scenes, and everybody's biting at the bit to get out there. I want to do something. I want to, and they just concentrate on a couple of people, and usually the stars, the stars. But to me, everybody is a star. Everybody is just as important as everybody else, and that's why I've been able to do as many parts as I have, because one of my mantras is, hey, we're all the writer, producer, director, and star of our own movie, our own life. We see everything through our own eyes. The whole world is only through our own eyes. So you are the most important person around. So you take ownership of that. And it's a little bit Mexicanos, we have that humilde thing. And I had it as extroverted as I was, because I was in everything. I was the only Chicano in the Young Lions at Del Mar College when I was there, but I was the president because I was into everything, man. I didn't buy into the racism or all that, even though it was there and everything like that. I didn't. I don't believe in that. I say we're all the not the race. We're all, it's just one human race, right? We're all whatever culture we are, or religion, or tone of color of skin or whatever, but our brains is not no gender, nothing, man. We can do anything. Our brain can be anything it wants to be, and that's the thing that we need to let our people know is that now with the voting and everything, this man is so crazy. All the and I'll, I don't the Republicans and the Mexicanos, ay ay ay,
Well, we all bleed red, right? We all bleed the same color.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, don't say that. We bleed blue.
Blue,
No,
blue.
no,
No,
no, no. The blood is blue before it hits the air, then it turns red.
right. You talked about your paintings and how your wife got it. I mean, how did the love for painting come about, and where can people buy your paintings if someone's interested in your
You know,
artwork?
I had a website, and I got to get it back up and on there because I have posters and serigraphs and they're cheerful. You can tell they're colorful and cheerful paintings, and I like to support because how many artist friends do you have, and it's the hardest, and they're incredibly talented, and yet man, it's so hard to make a living from it, and it's a shame because it should be in every classroom. Everybody should be able to know that hey, we have it all within us to do these incredible things, and we're told no, you're good at this and you're good at that. No, we should be able to do a little bit of plumbing, a little bit of electrical, everything, like any of the people, I mean, all the Mexicanos that come, or all the that come over the border, they can all do so much more than us that are born here, because they come from the little ranchitos and they have philosophies and that are incredible, man. That and stories and that they know how to do things that we don't. People have no idea how incredibly talented uh, they are, and just complain. No, they work hard, and that's my thing, man. I'm at work an hour early at a rehearsal, whatever it is. I'm still excited, and my real name is Pablo Alfonso, but my brother couldn't say baby, so decía Pepe. So in Texas, I was either Pepe or Pee. So so Pepe, everybody always called out my name, so I always had more energy than anybody else around.
Well, isn't there a saying in the industry, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're
Yeah,
late.
late, and if you're late, you're fired.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's any industry.
Sure.
That's any industry. Yeah, yeah, and that's the youth of today. And I'm talking about the youth. Anybody under 35, they have such bad habits. They don't know about being on. Forget about being on time. No, I don't feel good. I'm not going to go to work. No, you don't miss work. You can't miss work. You can't. Then the other guy has to do everything by himself. No, it's like that kind of mindset. No, that's not the way we were taught growing up, and the way we see things.
Well, every generation seems to change
Yeah,
social interactions somewhat.
yeah, and it's amazing. I just did there's going to be an event with 106 years of Zapata and Pancho Villa, and I said that was 106 years ago, and I said my father was 8 years old, and it was only 30 years before I was born. It's amazing that how it's not that long ago. Things, the revolution and everything else is just, and unfortunately, we're still in the same bag. We're the pobres are still pobre, and the rich are getting richer,
Yeah.
and the Mexicanos that are rich, not all of them, but a lot of them forget
Yeah.
that no, man, you got to have heart. You got to have a little compassion for your fellow man. And that's why I love working on films. So long as they can pay me, you know, my money, and I don't demand, like what my Hollywood money, but I got in order to get out because my wife is always with me. In the 51 years we've been together, it's almost 50, going on 52. Uh, um, we've only been apart 20 days. We're always together. We didn't have children, so we've been in Turkey and Greece, Yugoslavia, working, you know, all over the world and all over the United States, and we get to share it together. And that's the best thing there is, when you have that family connection and somebody to share it with.
Let's talk about your filmography a little bit. So I know there's a small independent movie called Scarface, but let's talk about your other roles. I mean, when people see you out and about or in the street, what movies do they recognize you the most? Like, hey, aren't you the guy from?
Well, today I was at Walmart and the guys recognized me with my mask on, just my eyes from American Me and Scarface. American Me was one of the best movies, working with Eddie Olmos. The first day we met in 1977, he was like a glorified extra, and it's in my documentary. And we started talking, and he says he had just worked with a director, and I don't know how an extra got a script, but he says, I just got a script, man, and I'm going to direct it, and you'll be the guy who kills me. 14 years later, I was the guy who killed him. And right after that, I was the first one cast in Zoot Suit. I got him in. I told him about it, and he had been told a couple of times, but I got him, and that's when he became El Pachuco, and there was no touching him. It's been phenomenal. But yeah, A Million to Juan was great, a lot of fun. But you know, it's been a lot of years, so a lot of people haven't seen it. Scarface, because every generation keeps seeing it. So I'm like babies and young kids, and then their parents, and then the grandparents and the great grandparents that have seen my work. You know, they're still alive.
Let's talk about Scarface a little bit. I mean, what is it about that movie that just attracts people? I mean, it's become such a phenomenon, and there's shirts and blankets, and there's decals on the cars. What is it about Scarface that's so special?
No, though it didn't. It was a nominal hit when it happened. It wasn't like it is now. What happened was that the rappers were the ones, the what do they call them, the gangsters, the what's the initial that they use, G,
OG?
OG, all the OGs. Man, I started get a little feather in my throat. um, the OGs made it. The rappers made it famous. Then they got it, and then it just blew up. And it's just, I guess, that rags to riches, and Al Pacino being such an incredible actor, and you know, that whole thing. And I was up for Manny's part, and Eddie almost was helping them cast it, and so I didn't get that part. But a friend of mine got the part that I played, but he couldn't do it. He was doing a film in Mexico. So then Eddie says, "Hey, get over here." And so I went in and read for it and got it.
What was it like on the set? I mean, is there any funny behind the scenes stories that you'd care to share?
Um, there weren't
Was
too
that a
many.
real chainsaw?
Brian, no, I had a rubber blade, but Brian De Palma was sitting down when I was coming back after the scene, and I came back and I passed by, and he looked up and he just kind of giggled with me, all bloody and stuff. But he um, it was it was working in Florida, in Miami Beach. Um, it's always great, man. Just sets, especially something like that. We didn't know it was going to be what it became, but it had a large cast, so you knew it was something special. But one of my big ones early on, '73, was well, Red Sky at Morning and Shootout, but with Gregory Peck right after he had done To Kill a Mockingbird. You know, working with him and him treating me as an equal, and I was never in awe of any of them, working with all the stars, because I've been doing it my whole life. So I felt like it was I'm respectful and everything, but it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm working with. No, we're all in it together, you know. But But Day of the Locust. I don't know if you ever John Schlesinger, that
Well,
directed Midnight Cowboy. That was an incredible movie to be a part of. And so many Car Wash, man, to working with Car Wash, that was really amazing to be the only Chicano, but I grew up with a lot of African American friends in the boys club and boxing, and we had a basketball team, and my first neighborhood was kind of mixed. When I was very, very between 3 and 5, something like that. But I never had I never had that racial divide thing that so many, and I feel like a lot of Mexicanos are more racist toward the African Americans than the gringos were toward the Mexicans. You know, there's a lot of that stuff, and it's just ridiculous in my eyes. But it's and did you ever see the PJs? Eddie Murphy's claymation series. It was a claymation
yeah,
series.
yes, I did.
I did the voice of Sanchez, a guy with a voice box. I had known this man that had a voice box, so I was always imitating that. So I went in and got the job. And that was great. We did 53 episodes. And, but no, it's just phenomenal. With the improv group, we were totally improvised every single time. It was for 7 years. So we performed on weekends. We get a question from the audience. How can I? Why should I? And then we would create this hour piece around it. And then we had different games and stuff that we would play in between, but that you had total freedom, but it was always giving to somebody else, making them the star. You didn't make yourself. I made, oh wow, that beard, I almost didn't recognize you from the post office shot, but I know you were that wrestler in high school, weren't you? That saved that little kid that was drowning. Yeah, I recognize you. So now I gave you that. You saved a kid from drowning. You were a wrestler in high school. Then you give me who I am. Then I tell you that's the first line. I have my first line. I tell you who you are. Your first line, you tell me who I am. Then my second line, after you tell me who I am, I'll tell you where we are. And then your second line, you tell me more about where we are. And my third line is, why are we here? You tell me more about why we're here. It's really hard to do. It's a discipline that you really have to work on and work on and work on. But when you do that, you're always giving to somebody else. You're making somebody else the sheriff with a black leather outfit and the chicote, that like Lash LaRue with that whip and that black hat and the black stallion. And so you're always giving, and the audience sees, they're not even exactly sure, but they're saying that, oh, I'm Lash LaRue, I've got a whip, and all of a sudden it's about you, right? And that it's a lot more simpatico when you give it away, when you give somebody else. It's just teamwork. It's playing in the park. What I grew up playing every sport, football, baseball, whatever it was, and you're always playing with your teammates and your friends and letting them. I never had the ego trip, and you'll see in my documentary where Eddie almost says, I was the first one working. I was older and had been here doing it, and so I would call everybody that I knew when I went up for a part. They would say, why are you calling me up for the part you went up for? I said, because if I don't get it, I want you to get it. And that's not how people don't do that. People are afraid, to share. And so anyway, that's just my trip.
Well, it sounds like a fun trip. I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
So out of all your films, I know it's like picking your favorite child, but which one's your favorite child? Which was the most fun on set?
I had it's a cliche, but I love them all. Every single one is fun. But of course, Scarface was great. Shooting in Miami and shooting at Universal Studios. I was under contract at Universal Studios in '75 to '76, and American Me, because we had been on it for so long, Eddie and I working on it, and we're best friends. And we did the Ballad of Gregorio Cortez. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I did.
Did
Yes.
you see the digital copy, the new one?
No, 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 none. I didn't know
Oh,
there was a new.
try to get it, man. It's fabulous, fabulous. The digital, the Academy digitized it,
Oh, okay, good.
and yeah. So there have been so many, and then working in Europe, and then have you seen Man from Reno?
Man, no, I haven't.
We won the LA Film Festival in 2014, I think it was, and where I play a sheriff, and it's half Japanese, half English, and the other the co-lead with me is Steven Seagal's Japanese daughter,
Hmm.
and that was a really fun movie to make. But I just did one called The Planters. Not just did one. It's been, yeah, it was 4 years ago. But we won the Rain Dance in London.
Okay.
Have you heard of it? Rain Dance, the film
Right, that's
festival.
no festival. Yes.
Yeah, and we won that. And it's two young ladies who wrote it, produced it, directed it, and star in it. And they're the only two on the crew.
Really?
The only two on the crew. They wouldn't even let me lift a chair.
How did they
And
do that?
and then they would start the camera and hit, and when one of them wasn't, the other one was running it, and then they would just do it. They would just start the cameras and we would go. And we won in Austin and Nashville. One, man, it took so many. It's called The Planters,
I.
and they're both daughters of directors.
Okay.
Ted Kotcheff, the guy who did Rambo and a bunch of those, and then Mimi Leader, who's a producer director, and her daughter. So yeah, it was phenomenal to be able to do that. And they actually shot right here in Palm Springs.
There was a movie that I saw that like I had to do a second like was is that Pepe? It's the movie where Matt Damon they shrink.
Yeah, that was great. That was
Downsizing.
Downsizing. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I was like, is that Pepe? I had to do a double take. I almost didn't recognize you.
Yeah, it had, and I had my beard was really long when I got to Toronto to film, and but the director thought I looked too sophisticated, so he had it cut it down more, which is funny because I looked like a homeless guy as far as my mother-in-law and my wife thought, but there I was, and it was oh God, I'm drawing a blank. The great Andrew Andrew Payne, the
Yes.
great director, Academy Award winning writer director. Yeah, so it was, yeah, to be able to do and work with people like that, and just sometimes you don't get to do enough, because I still, you know, I'm in this body, but inside I can still go, and we're working on a project right now that's going to be that my friend wrote for me. We're trying to raise the money for it, but it's going to be great. It's a great part for me, and I'm the lead, and it's like uh, I
You
can't tell
bring,
you.
you bring up a good point. Like, I mean, your friend is obviously writing that for you. I mean, at what point do you still audition, or do people already write
No,
parts
man,
for you?
no, no, not that all, not often enough. No, I still audition, and as a matter of fact, I was gonna. They had called me. They wanted me to do this 10-minute short film, and they were in negotiations for a week. I never met the director. I never talked to him or anything, but they just offered me the part. I mean, they didn't off. I thought had offered me the part because they were negotiating and everything. And then after about 10 days, they said, we decided to go a different way. I said, what? What was all that about? Just so you never know. It was like with and actors never talk about stuff like that because but with once upon a time in Hollywood, what was the name of that with Quentin Tarantino?
Yes.
Yeah, so anyway, they call me in for an audition for a small part, and I go in. I was watching him direct. I was at an angle and I was watching him for about 30 minutes, and I was having a lot of fun watching him and enjoying how much he enjoyed the process. So then I get in there and he starts giving me the lines from a lot of my movies and all this. It went on and on and on. So I thought I had the part, but he didn't give it to me. It went to somebody else. And I was like kind of shocked because he was such a fan of everything, but sometimes it just doesn't happen, and you got to let that stuff go. So when I got a great part, the highs, and then when you don't get that great part, I try to keep everything in the middle. So it doesn't hurt my feelings that much, because you don't want to dwell on anything you can't do anything about.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. So for those actors that are barely starting to get into this business, what's your advice for those that want to take on acting?
Study, do theater, as much theater as you can. It's just because you're short and fat and they need somebody who's short and fat and you get the part, don't think you're an actor. Or if you're tall and that you can be a good basketball player, don't. No, it's hard work. It's like being anything else. If you're going to be a master mechanic, if you're going to work on a Mercedes or a Tesla, you have to have you have to be able to know what you're doing. You have to work years, and that's it at anything that you're doing. Get into it, man. Love it. If you like it, learn to love it. I mean, delve into it, but you have to know how to read. That's one of my things that I tell everybody. It's not for your mother or your father or your teachers, but you have to learn how to read, because if you like if you don't like school but you like to tear apart motorcycles and work on them, and you're trying to fix a carburetor, and you know what um, uh, the motorcycle is it a Harley Davidson, or is it an Indian, or is it what's the brand and what's the year, and you can Google it and find out. But you have to know how to read, so that you know how to Google to find out the information for anything you want to do. Anything you want to do, you can learn how to do it. But there's that the old adage that it takes 10,000 hours to become a master. You have to work 10,000 hours at something to become really good. And that was like Edison. They said it took him 10,000 tries to create the incandescent bulb. So did he fail 9,999 times? No. He he succeeded on that 10,000 one, but you're not failing. Yeah, that's just part of the process. You got to learn how to swing at the bat and at the ball.
Yeah.
You can't swing at the bat unless you got another bat and you got one in your hand.
You probably had a bright idea and the light bulb appeared above his head. And
Yeah,
like, what was that?
yeah. And so there's so much, to do, but it's teamwork, man. That's teamwork makes the dream work when you can do it with your friends and create. Um, so give me 5 minutes. I'm just my dinner's about ready. So
Okay, because everything's ready.
okay, 3 minutes.
Okay, well, we're about to finish.
Yeah.
So, one last thing: what upcoming projects are you working on where we can see you coming up soon?
Well, the biggest thing is my documentary, to get that out, because it's really fun to show that history. And then my memoir, I'm looking for a publisher for my memoir, and that's that's my whole history of how I did it, and plus my philosophy on life, and lots of things. My great grandmother, who was a curandera, but a storyteller, who got me. That was where I got my storytelling, when I started from her. But we have it all, and everybody has storytellers in their families. That crazy uncle or aunt or whatever, or everybody. The imagination is incredible. But we'll have to keep in touch, because I've heard about you guys for years, and I kept wanting, I've got to do something. I have a good friend down there, Gilbert Ramos, that down in the Valle, that's been part of several things that I've done. He's an interesting guy, but let's keep in touch.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I mean, this is our 27th year. I mean, we're like you said, you're just hanging on there, just trying to keep the dream alive of bringing independent film to the Rio Grande Valley.
Okay, all right. So let's keep it up, and if you can think anything on how to do, and just to put out there for my fundraising, and I know you're always trying to fundraise for yourselves, but Who knows?
Absolutely. When things get better next year, you know, maybe we can tie in Pedro Garcia and see what we can collaborate on.
Okay. All
All
right.
right,
Thank you so much, Henry.
Pepe, thank you very much.
And I want to give a shout out to all you people out there that have not seen any of the films that CineSol has. A famous film festival that I've been trying to get into for the last 27 years. And finally, I got the call, and I'm so excited that I did, because we need your support. Raza, necesitamos que ustedes vean y watchen. Quiero que vayan a watchar las movies porque están a todas mamis. That's good, man. Tienen, por favor, el apoyo. Necesitamos el apoyo de todo el público latino, de los mexicanos y todo. Bueno, muchas gracias. Y ahí nos vemos.
Thank you very much.